Hey, this is MJ, and in today's tutorial I'll be showing you how to make our peekaboo market bag. The yarn that I'm using is Cottage cotton from Herrschners. You'll need 4 balls to make a bag, and we will be doubling up the yarn, so you're going to get a nice and sturdy finished bag. The yarn is a medium weight number 4. It's a blend of 60% cotton and 40% acrylic. And I will have the links in the description box for the yarn as well as the hook that I'm using. The hook that I'll be using for this pattern is a 6.5 millimeter, and I'm using a Furls crochet hook, and this is their matte gold. We'll be doubling up the yarn for this pattern to make it bulky, and you will need stitch markers to help track the increases. I like to do one in a different color so I know my first stitch of the round, because we will be working this pattern in a continuous round without joining. So we're going to start with a chain. So I'm going to put a slip knot on my hook, and I'm going to chain a total of 35. Now in the second chain from the hook, we're going to work a single crochet. And I'm going to add 2 more single crochets because this will be the curved corner. So we're going to start with 3 single crochets in that first stitch. And I will mark with my blue turquoise color the first stitch. Now I'm going to single crochet in the next chain. Now I will be marking the last stitch of our increases as well, but because it's just this 3, I'm not going to put the marker in this time. On the next round I will. So let's work across the chain, and the last chain we will also add 3. Because this is the bottom of the bag, we're going to be making an oval shape. Okay, so I've worked across the chain. So not including that first chain that we did the 3 in, I've worked 32, because in total we have 34 chains. So I've started the first chain with 3, worked across 32, and then in the last chain we will also do 3. So 1, 2, 3. Now I will mark these so you can see what we'll be doing. So as we increase the oval shape, we will always be working 32 stitches, and then the increases will happen at the markers. I'm gonna get this marked. Maybe I'll mark this one here as well. It's 1, 2, 3. So now we've done 3. That is going to be accounting for the 1 chain on this side, because we now work on the opposite side of the chain. So we're skipping the first chain, we're working into the next chain. And to make sure you're on track, you want to have 32 chains across. So we basically are skipping the first and the last chain on this side. So we're just working through this loop right here. And I'll count as I go. I'm just crocheting over my tail as well. Okay, so I've worked across 32. So this is how it's looking at this point. And now we're going to do the increases. So what we're going to do in these first 3 stitches, we're going to do 2 in each stitch. I'm going to remove this marker. Now I'm also going to work through the back loop only. So 1, 2, and then we can mark the first stitch. And this is just so we don't get confused. We know the first stitch of every round is going to be in the teal. And we'll do 2 in the next and 2 in the last. So all through the back loop, I just worked the next stitch so it was easier to put my marker in. So now I'm marking the start of the round and the end of the increase pattern because we'll only be doing the increases for this section. The rest now we work, I've already done 1. We'll have 32 stitches working single crochets all through the back loop. So I'm going to work that across to my next marker. Okay, so once we get to the marker, we're doing the same thing. We're adding 2 in each. And then you're going to keep marking the first stitch of at your increase. The markers are really going to help just keep you on track with these so you don't get confused where you need to be working your. Okay, and 2 in the last stitch. So we now have 6 stitches for our increase. I'll go into the next one and then place my marker. Okay, and I'm going to continue to, whoops, I caught that. I'm going to continue to single crochet through the back loops only. Okay, so I've worked back to my first marker and now the increase pattern changes a little bit. So what we're going to do is 1 in the first stitch and then 2 in the next stitch. Okay, so we're going to mark that first stitch again. And as we do our rounds, the next round we'll have 2 stitches and then the increase. Next round, 3 stitches and then the increase. So we're always increasing by 3 stitches at this end. So we'll now do 1 in the next, 2 in the next, 1 in the next, and then 2 in the next. And I'll start that next stitch and then place my marker to continue to mark where we're going to do the increases. Now, when we get to the other end of our oval, we're going to do the same thing. So I'll go ahead and work all the way across to the marker. Okay, so once we get here, we're going to do 1 in the first, 2 in the next. One, and then 2 in the next. 1, and then 2 in the next. Single crochet into the next stitch and add my marker. Okay, so I'm going to continue working to my marker. Okay, so now we're to our first marker of the round again. So we'll remove that, and this time we'll have 2 stitches before the increase. So 1, 2, mark this, and then 2 in the next. So 1, 2, and then 2 in the next. 1, 2, and then 2 in the next. Okay, and I'll work the next stitch and place my marker. So the next round, you'll do 1, 2, 3 stitches and then an increase. 1, 2, 3 stitches and then an increase. 1, 2, 3 stitches and then an increase. And then the final increase round will be 4 stitches and then an increase. So I'm going to go ahead and finish off this round, working this the same way, and then I'll meet you back up for that next round. Okay, so I'm back around. Let's remove the marker. And this time we're going to crochet 3 stitches. My marker back in the first stitch. And then an increase. So 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and then the increase. 1, 2, 3, and then the increase in our marked stitch. Single crochet in the next stitch, and then I can place my marker in the last stitch of the increase. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and finish working around doing the same increase pattern on this side. I'll meet you back up at our starting marker for the last round. Okay, so now this is the final round of the base, so the final increase. We're going to work 4 stitches. 1, 2, just gonna get this marker put back. 3, 4, and then an increase. 1, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then an increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then an increase. And 1 in the next stitch. So now you should have, from marker to marker, 18 stitches, 32 on this side, 32 on this side, and then we'll have 18 as well. So you should have a total of 100 stitches working around. Now the pattern that we'll be doing is going to be worked in a multiple of 4. So if you wanted to change the size of the bag, you would have to increase the starting chain in multiples of 4. So you would get an additional 4 stitches on this side, an additional 4 stitches on this side, which would increase your overall bag size by 8 stitches. So I'm going to go ahead though and work this all the way around. I'll work my increase pattern the same on this side, and I'll meet you back up at the marker again. Okay, so I've worked all the way around. We now have 100 stitches, and I'm going to start my round for the body with another round of single crochet, but without any increasing. So that's going to start to make the bag want to curve upwards. I'm still going to mark the first stitch because we'll finish this round off with a seamless join. Okay, so I'll work 2. I'm going to mark that first stitch. And now I'm just going to work 1 in every stitch around. I don't need these markers anymore. So I can remove those, work all the way around, and then I'll meet you up again. I'm just going to weave this tail back in the opposite direction and just to get it trimmed and out of the way. So now if we give the base a measure, before we do that final round, it's about 13 inches. Okay, so I've worked all the way around to the marker. Now to do a seamless join, we're going to fasten this off. You're going to pull the yarn through. Can take our marker out. We're going to take our yarn needle. Make sure you have one that's big enough you can get both strands through. So now what we're going to do is we're going to skip this stitch because we're basically going to make a faux stitch. So we're going to skip this stitch so that our stitch count isn't off. We're going to go under both loops of the next stitch. Then we're going to come back going through the back loop only. So you can see right here how this makes a stitch. This is also a stitch here. Okay, so it's a little, with the double loops, it looks a little bit odd right here, but we have 1, 2 stitches. So just be aware of that when we're working the next round. So now we can weave in this tail. So just go to the wrong side of your work, which will be the inside of the bag. And just try not to distort your stitches, but you just want to get this tail secured. Okay, and then we can give it a trim. Now I want the join for the bag to be on the side. So then you can just go to the side of your work, just estimate. You don't have to be exact stitches or anything. So I'm going to say this is about the center. Pull the yarn through and we're going to chain 3. Now we're going to do a linked double crochet. So to do that, we're going to go through the second chain from the hook, pull up a loop. You've got 2 loops on your hook. You're now going to go into the next stitch and pull up a loop. You now have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So we're linking these stitches together. Now I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to skip the next 2 stitches, and then I'm going to double crochet in the next. Now I'm going to do a linked double crochet again. So I'm going to go through the bar that you see right here. pulling up a loop. So I have 2 loops on my hook, go in the next stitch, pull up a loop. I now have 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, chain 2, skip 2, and we're going to repeat this all the way around. So as we talked about before, the repeat's 4 stitches because we have 2 stitches and then a chain 2, skip 2. Chain 2, and just try to keep your chains fairly loose that they're not too tight pulling your work. So I'm going to continue working this all the way around. Okay, so I'm coming around. I'm going to end with chain 2, skip 2. We're going to slip stitch in that starting chain 3 to join. I'm going to chain 1, which we won't include as a stitch. I'm going to single crochet in the chain, single crochet in the link double, 2 single crochet in the chain 2s. So we're doing a single crochet for every stitch for this round. So 2 in the chain, 2, okay, so we're just working this all the way around. Again, we're sticking at that 100 stitches. Okay, so once you have worked all the way around, we're going to slip stitch in our first single crochet to join, and we will chain 3. And we're going to go back to the double crochet, link double crochet row. So we'll go through the second chain from the hook, pulling up a loop, go through the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, chain 2, skip 2, and then double crochet, linked double crochet, chain 2, and skip 2, and we're going to continue working this around. So now the pattern is just a repeat of our first row with our double, or then our single, and then we're just repeating back and forth. Okay, and this is how it's starting to look. So I'm going to go ahead and work that. I'm going to pop up how many rounds I want you to do in total. So we'll count our first double as row 1 and this row 2. So we're going to end on the single crochet row. So I'll pop up those directions for you below. Okay, so I've been working on my bag and I have worked a total of 24 rows. So that's starting with the double crochet row. So we have 12 double crochet rows, we have 12 single crochet rows. So 24 rows in total, but you can always alter the length of your bag if you want it a little bit bigger or if you don't want it quite as tall. So I haven't slip stitched to join because what we're going to do is slip stitch through the back loop only on that single crochet row, chain 1, and then we're going to work a round of single crochets through the back loop only. Okay, so once you've worked all the way around, we are going to do the seamless join. So I'm going to fasten off, pull my yarn through. I'm going to take my yarn needle. Okay, and we're skipping over the first stitch. We're going through the next stitch, going under both loops, and we're going back through the last stitch in the back loop only. So this is making your faux stitch so that we skip the first, so we stay at the 100 stitch count. And then I'm going to weave this tail in. Just make sure to not distort your stitches. Weave this tail. Okay, so let's mark off for our straps. We have 100 stitches worked all the way around. So what you want to do is make sure your bag is folded just like this, and you can mark what you're going to estimate each corner to be. So let's start with that. So estimate roughly where the center is and get that marker placed. We're going to start over here with this one. This one's not a big deal. We can always remove it because once you get working then your stitch marker pattern around to mark those straps, it will work out. So I've started marking here. I'm going to count 8 stitches and place another marker. So including the one I've marked, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'm going to place my marker in my next stitch. The markers are going to be the strap, and we're going to work into the markers of the strap, okay? So we're going to have 10 stitches for a strap. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if we look at it like this, we're going to mark the corner half. We're going to count, including this marker, 8 stitches. In the next stitch, we're going to place a marker, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And in the 9th, we will place another marker, but marker to marker will be 10 stitches. Then we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And in the 15th stitch, we're going to place another marker. Now we're going to have another 10 stitches marker to marker, but it will be the 9th stitch, you'll place a marker, but we'll have 10 in total. And now we have a bigger space here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And then we place a marker in the 17th stitch. Then this will be another strap. So marker to marker, you should have 10 stitches, but we'll count 9, place a marker. Count 14, place a marker in the next. Count 9, place a marker in the next. So you will have 10 marker to marker. And then if you count in between, this will be 8 stitches, but between the markers, we're going to have 16. Okay, so 16 stitches between these markers, 14 between the front, 14 between the back, and 16 on this side. So 10, 10, 10, and 10 are the straps. So I hope that makes sense, but it breaks up our 100 stitches evenly. And then we're going to join into the marked stitches for the straps. I'm going to remove this marker, make sure to not lose track. Okay. Going to chain 1. And I'm going to single crochet across to the next marker. So this is going to be 10 stitches. Okay, so I'm going to remove these markers. Now, just to get them out of the way, I'm going to chain one and turn and work a single crochet into each stitch. Then we'll chain one and turn. And I'm going to do a decrease. So I'm going to go through the first stitch, pulling up a loop. I'm going to go through the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all three. I'm going to single crochet across to the last two stitches. Okay, and now I will decrease across the last two. Pull up a loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through three, chain one, we'll turn, and I will single crochet in each stitch across. So now we're going to have 8 stitches. If you want a thicker strap, you can make these straps without doing any decreases, but I want to narrow mine out a little bit more. So we're going to chain one and turn. And I'm going to decrease the first 2 again. Work across to the last 2. And we'll decrease across the last 2. Chain one and turn. And work 1 in every stitch across. Chain one and turn. So I've worked across 6 stitches and I'm going to decrease the first 2, work across to the last 2, decrease the last 2, chain one and turn. So we've now reduced to 4 stitches. And we're going to continue at this width. I'm going to keep working until I have about 12 inches worth of work. And I'll pop up how many rows you'll want to do in total, or you can just go by your measurement. Okay, so I have worked about 12 inches, and that is about 37 rows. Okay, now I'm going to fasten off with a tail, and I'm just going to go ahead and do this for each of the strap sections. So once I have that complete, we'll meet back up and I'll show you how we're going to seam and then finish off the edging. Okay, so I have all of my straps crocheted. I put this one together already, but by shortening or lengthening your straps, you can easily do that. So you can always test it out to make sure you're happy with the amount of strap that we have here. And once you are, you're going to seam them together. So this is my right side. I'm going to take the right sides of the strap and I'm going to place them together. So right sides together, we're just going to sew. We're going to sew that. So I'm going to grab my yarn needle. Again, place the right sides. I go through the first stitch twice, and I'm just going to sew this across, going under both loops of the stitch. Go through the last one twice. Okay, you can just make sure that that comes together nicely, and then you can weave in this tail. You want to make sure that you don't distort anything when you're doing this. And I'm just going to go back in the opposite direction. Okay, so I had already done that with this side, and I started to do the edging around the bag. And I started, so you need to do this basically round section here of the bag. So I will show you how to do that on this side. And then we also have to do the larger section to the outside, which I started doing but stopped to work on these straps to show you. So you could join down here. I kind of like the idea of having my join up at the strap. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna join on and show you how to do this edging. I'm gonna take my 2 strands of yarn. I'm going to go in around the seam section. We'll chain 1 and work a single crochet. Now, what we're going to do is go through, see how we see the 2 bars of our stitch. We're going to go through the bar. Then we're going to go down through the next section of the strap. I'm going to pull up a loop, pulling through the first loop only, yarn over, pull through 2. So again, we're going through the bar, the second bar if we count 1, 2, going down through the next, so basically 1 per row, pulling up a loop, pulling through the first loop on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2. I really love the edge that this gives. I'll do a few more so that you can see sort of how it's looking. So through the second bar, go through the next row on the side, pulling up a loop, pulling through the first loop only, which creates this ridge, then yarn over, pull through 2. So you get this really nice, clean edge working around. Also makes the strap nice and sturdy. It gives it a nice, thick, sturdy edge. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and continue this all the way around the piece. So now once you get all the way around, we can fasten off, and I'm going to do a seamless join. So put your yarn on the needle. We're going to go through the stitch. I'm not going to worry right this time about skipping. And go back through the back loop only of the last stitch. And that will make a nice join. And you can just weave in this tail. Okay, just make sure not to distort. Okay, you can weave in any tail. So you're going to do this on both sides of your straps. Okay, and then I joined up same way up at this side now of the strap. I started working around and I'm going to continue that. So I'll just continue now working. And we're going to do this really the same way. We're just working the opposite side of the straps now. And we have a much bigger section because we have to go all the way over this strap, come down around this section, all the way back to our start of this strap. Okay, so a bigger section. So 2 smaller inside sections or outside sections, and then this inside edge section. So I'm going to do a seamless join when I finish this as well, and then we can meet back up again. Okay, so I have completed my straps. I wove in all my tails. They're nice and sturdy. So if your bag has a fair amount of weight in it, it's going to be a nice sturdy bag. I'll give it a measure for you just to make sure that you are on track with the sizing. Okay, so if we take the width, it is about 16. A little smaller down at the bottom, but if you measure up here, it is around even 15.5 to 16. And then if we take from here to here, it's about 13.5. And our straps are going to be about another 11-ish. So that just gives you an idea on your sizing. What I like to finish it off with is just a personalized tag. So I'm just going to use these leather rivets that I purchased from Amazon. And you want to make sure to hammer these if you're adding one. Okay, so I have about 65 grams left over of yarn, which you can use this to maybe make a dishcloth. It is a beautiful soft cotton. I absolutely love the blend of the cotton and acrylic. So here is your finished bag. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and tap the bell so you stay updated on all my new videos and tutorials. Make sure to check the description box below the video for all the links. Thanks so much, guys. Have an awesome day.